The man did not take the sacred sword before him, but instead chose the shadow of the sacred sword. It wasn't that he didn't want the sacred sword, but only that the dark sword could resonate with him. He wasn't surprised at all, because in my previous life, it was through this sword that I became the continent's strongest assassin. My older brother, on the other hand, was acknowledged by the sacred sword. The family wanted him to ascend to the throne, so they made me his shadow. From that moment on, I could only dwell in darkness, sweeping away all obstacles for the family. But in the end, he called me a stain on the family. He dispatched the Empire's strongest warriors to gravely injure me. Even so, I caused the Empire to pay a painful price. But ultimately, I ran out of strength and was cut down by my brother's sword. Just when I thought it was all over, I opened my eyes to find a girl standing before me. I got up to see that it was Emily, the maid from my house. But I hadn't seen her in over 20 years. How had her appearance not changed at all? And the place I was in was my childhood room. I touched my face and realized it was much smaller. Could it be that I had been reborn 20 years in the past? Emily saw my expression, and thought I didn't want to attend the duel. Soon after, we arrived at the duel plaza. I clearly remember that swordsmanship duels occurred every month in the territory. My father, Duke Belt, the lord of the territory, would also attend. In my memory, my opponent today was Draven. He was my half-brother. However, Draven's mother was the Duke's legal wife, while I was an illegitimate child of unclear status. It was on this day that, after being defeated and ridiculed, I became the object of public humiliation. From that moment, my father despised me. At this point, Emily suggested that I surrender. I ignored her and drew my sword. But suddenly, something felt off. Why did the sword in my hand feel so heavy? I suddenly remembered that my current body still had the strength of a 10-year-old child. This realistic sensation was no dream. It seemed that I truly had been reborn. In other words, I could change everything. Draven began to mock me as I stood there stunned. My father, seeing that we were both ready, announced the start. As soon as he finished speaking, Draven drew his sword and charged at me. Seeing me stand still without reacting, he assumed I was paralyzed by fear of his aura, but I simply sidestepped, causing him to miss. Just as he was about to turn and launch another attack, but I struck his sword down with a single blow. Then I kicked him in the shin. A sharp pain instantly spread through his entire body, as he collapsed to the ground, crying in pain. His mother called out his name in worry. I could have ended the duel by simply placing my sword at his throat. But recalling how Draven had tormented me in my past life, and how that torment lasted until the academy, this time I needed to utterly break him. With that thought, I viciously kicked him in the face. In the end, Draven suffered a complete defeat. Because of this, the Duke postponed his plans to go to war. He summoned me for a private conversation. To my surprise, it was Garen, the Duke's top-ranking knight, who escorted me. I thought perhaps my victory had made a strong impression on my father. On the way to my father's room, I encountered